Okay, face brushes. I don't have as many face brushes, but I definitely have a bunch of different brushes for different things. So I'll start with powder. The brush that I would recommend to you guys, especially if you're starting out with brushes and you want a powder and foundation brush, get the e.l.f. Kabuki. It is $6. It is incredibly, incredibly soft. It's amazing, and I think that it works perfectly for powder and liquid foundation. So it's so soft. You can do an all-over powder of your favorite face powder. You can put bronzer down your neck. You can also use this for bronzer. You can shape it and do it. But for foundation, just take a hair tie and wrap it around like twice or so, and you can roll it up to change the density. So if you don't have the money to buy a buffing brush and a powder brush, which those can definitely add up, especially if you're buying them like separately and from a like high-end brand. I'm talking about you, Sigma. Their F80 is like, everyone has it, everyone thinks they need it, but trust me, if you want something affordable, you have the powder brush, and then you just take a hair tie, pinch up the bristles to make them more dense, and you have a rounded Kabuki for your liquid foundation. It's so amazing. $6 for a very, very versatile brush. I absolutely love this. It's a brush that I always keep in my travel bag. Just in case I forget makeup brushes, I can do my whole face with this. So check this out for sure if you're in the market for a powder brush, or if you're in the market for basically like tons of face brushes in general. Try the e.l.f. one, and you can contort it and change the shape of it. Like I said, you can sort of like fan it out and do your contour, your bronzer. It's awesome. But I have had that for so long and it's still in perfect condition, but I really wanted a powder brush that had a stick. So like a handle, not a stick. So I got the Real Techniques powder brush, and Real Techniques and e.l.f. are my two favorite face brush brands. They're just so awesome. For eye brushes, I have like all sorts of different brands, but for face brushes, really I could stick to Real Techniques and e.l.f. and I would be completely set. So their powder brush is just a giant powder brush on a handle. So as you can see, the Kabuki is smaller, and Kabukis don't have handles, but they're pretty much like kind of the same size. The Real Techniques might be a little more dense, but both are super soft, both work and do the same exact job. I just love that this is on a handle. I reach for it much more, and I don't use the powder brush too much. So if I didn't care about the handle, I would definitely just be set with the Kabuki, which is why I'm like steering you guys towards that one. But if you do really love Real Techniques and you want a really awesome powder brush, get this one. It's $10, and you can use your $3.50 off 10 at Ulta. And if you want to support my store, Bed Bath & Beyond, you can get this and another $5 item and get $5 off 15. So you can do whatever you want, but go to Bed Bath & Beyond. Anyhow, it's just a really wonderful brush. I reach for it quite often if I want to do powder, which is mostly in the summer, but either of those brushes, totally stand behind them. Okay, speaking of the Sigma F80, I don't have any Sigma brushes, but I know that the Sigma F80, the buffing brush, is like a huge deal. Everyone wants it. This Real Techniques buffing brush, to me, is like the same thing, but so much more accessible because you can get it at basically any drugstore or Ulta that you have. So this is just awesome at buffing in foundation. I didn't think I would really like this brush because I don't really like brushes for foundation. I like using my hands or my beauty blender, but this is a really great brush to have to like, if you want to just pack on certain areas, or sometimes if you apply too much blush, which I sometimes do, you can take this, which might have a little bit of foundation residue, or you can put a little bit of face powder on it and just sort of go over that area and diffuse that blush color or bronzer or whatever down. So that's a good trick. Really, really love this. Then another buffing brush is this Sonia Kashuk No. 4 Multipurpose Flat Top Brush. This is awesome. So Obviously they're different because this one is flat and this one is rounded. And the Sonia Kashuk is a little bit smaller in surface area than the Real Techniques. I really love this Sonia Kashuk one. It's super soft again, dense as well. It's just awesome. You probably don't need both, but I do like having the flat top. I've been reaching for this more than the Real Techniques, but you definitely don't need both. But if you want a much more affordable version of a buffing brush and you don't want to get the Kabuki and use it for liquid foundation, this e.l.f. mineral powder brush is very, very similar. I'm not going to say it's the same thing. It's not quite as dense. It's smaller for sure in surface area, but it does the same thing. It buffs in foundation, liquid or mineral. It's called the mineral powder brush, but you could definitely use it for liquid. It does the same job as those do. It just might take a little longer because it is smaller, but if you're on a budget or you want a cheaper but still great alternative, this is a good one. Concealer. The concealer brush I would steer you towards is the Real Techniques setting brush. This is awesome. I recently, like in the past month, discovered that this is amazing for under the eyes. It's not like super dense, which is why I like it. I apply my concealer directly to my under eye area and then blend in with this brush. It diffuses the product so it doesn't get cakey under your eyes. Like, it might still get cakey, but it just gives a much thinner layer. I love this, it's amazing, but I also have the e.l.f. Flawless Concealer Brush, which is much denser. Like, it doesn't have as much give as this one does. Like, this one is just much flimsier than the e.l.f. one. So if you wanted a more, like, buffing style brush for under your eyes, if you really want to do some heavy concealing, maybe get the e.l.f. one, but I really prefer the Real Techniques. For bronzer, there's only one brush for me, and it is the Real Techniques blush brush. Oh my goodness, what did I do before this brush? This is so amazing. It's so soft like all of the Real Techniques brushes are. It's amazing for bronzer because it is like that egg shape, and so similar to the Louise Young crease brush, the color product only gets on those top bristles if you're like swirling your brush in like that. So then you can go onto your cheeks and it sort of goes directly into that area where you first touch it. So I try to focus it in like more of the hollows of my cheeks. It's just so amazing. You can easily bronze your entire face, down your neck. You could use this for powder as well. It's just such an amazing brush and really the only brush I use for bronzer. For blush, I have three like favorites. My number one favorite though is the e.l.f. blush brush. This is awesome if you want a really specific blush application, so if you know exactly where you want it, like I typically put it in this area and I stamp it like this. It's perfect for that. It does kind of apply heavier than the other two brushes I sometimes use, which are the Real Techniques Multitask brush and this Tokidoki angled blush brush. As you can tell, these are all different, but what is in common with the Real Techniques and the Tokidoki is that they're more fluffy. So we would like still apply it in a specific area, but it would be more diffused. It wouldn't be as like bold of a color as when I like press the pigment into my face like this. So it just depends on what you want. I really like having all of these. Probably I could just do with the Multitask brush and the e.l.f. blush brush, but the e.l.f. one I can't live without. These are pretty much interchangeable. Sometimes I use the Multitask brush, as it says, for multi-purposes. So I use it for blush, for highlight, for bronzer. I just really like having this one. And then the angled blush brush, sometimes I use this edge for doing like a more specific bronzer or contour or highlight. So I love all of these and I reach for all of them basically on a rotating basis. Then my last brushes are some that I have duplicates of. This is the e.l.f. Small Stipple. This is awesome for cream products. I use this for cream bronzer, not cream bronzer, I don't even have that, cream blush and cream highlight. and I have two, as you can see. That's how much I love it. This one is taped, and I wanted to mention that with the e.l.f. brushes, some of them, not most of them, but some have sort of fallen apart on me. Just the ferrule, which is this part which attaches the handle to the bristles, that's called the ferrule, and sometimes that has come loose, so I just put tape on it. I don't really care. They're only $3, but just know that sometimes it has happened, but for the majority that really hasn't happened to me. Anyhow, this is amazing for cream, blush, and highlight. So many people on YouTube recommend this brush for that purpose. It just is really awesome. It gets that pigment on just those like top bristles and then buffs it in, because maybe you can see better on the one that's not dirty. It has like a variation of the heights of the bristles, so it's all like sporadic. And so those shorter bristles like help not pick up too much product, but then they help blend it all out. So these are awesome for cream products. It's basically the only brush that I use for cream cheek products, so definitely a must-have. Then the e.l.f. small tapered brush. This is great for two purposes. I'm sure it's great for many others, but the two purposes I use it for are highlight and contour. It's perfect for highlighting that top area of your cheekbones, down the bridge of your nose, your cupid's bow, wherever you want to contour. This is awesome because it has that point. So, and it's small, so it just fits perfectly on the face, and then the point also helps do precise contouring. So in the hollow of your cheeks or wherever you want to precisely put like a line of pigment, this is awesome. You can also use this with liquid products because it is a synthetic fiber. These are just awesome, and like I said, I use them mostly for highlighting and contouring. So, whew, I've talked for like freaking ever. So those are all my brushes. Those are all of the ways that I use them. I hope that this was helpful to at least someone out there. I really want these videos, these beauty investment videos, to be helpful to people who don't know where to start with certain categories or don't know where they should spend their money, what's good, what's bad. So hopefully this was helpful in some capacity. I had a lot of fun filming it today. Like I said, I am in such an amazing mood, and I'm so happy to be able to share this information with you guys and to like share my happiness with you guys. But please let me know what your favorite brushes are down below, because I love all the brushes that I have, but I would definitely be interested in trying out different ones from different brands that I haven't heard of before or haven't tried. But yeah, Real Techniques and e.l.f. for face brushes, and then I have so many different ones for eyes, but definitely check out the Louise Young LY38 and the MAC 217. But if you're on a budget, check out those three e.l.f. eye brushes that I mentioned. So that's all for me. I'm sure I've talked for like 30 minutes or at least 30 minutes. So I hope that this was helpful to someone out there. Please let me know if it was. I hope that you guys are having a wonderful day, and I will see you really soon. Bye!